Yeah, look, maybe we'll touch on that game a little bit later. Obviously, we're talking United on the show as well today. This super chat here says, I'd argue that if Pep Guardiola wasn't at City, no one would be panicking so early in the season. Every point lost counts whilst he's at City. Yeah, I think that's true. I think when you've got a team as formidable, relentless, and calculated as City, every point dropped is massive. The league, in fairness, that changed under Jose's time. Fergie always used to say you could start slowly, you pick it up in the second half of the season. Jose came in and made it, you had to have a very good start. Pep and Klopp have made it so that you can almost afford to barely drop points all season. And that's just the evolution of the Premier League, if that makes sense. It's like Fergie took it to another level, and then Jose came in, and Fergie did again. And then Pep and Klopp have done it. And it's just the evolution. So I do agree with that.
I don't mind the whole slow start thing, right? And I understand that. But this is a Fulham team that got battered 3-0 by Brentford last week. Let's not forget that.
Mate, no, I do hear you. Listen, I'm not defending it at all. Yeah, I hear you. Brandon, if they were the best of the season, then why didn't Arsenal win the Premier League? Gunner, Jan 24th, he will be saying the same thing. The TikToker's brain is new if he is thinking of selling it.
Well,
I don't really understand that, Nabil. I don't get it.
No, I don't, because the reason why we didn't win the league, Nabil, is because Saliba got injured and that partnership got broken up. But it was up until Saliba got injured, and I think you'll all agree with me, arguably the best defensive partnership in the league last season. So why is Arteta breaking that up now?
I'd say other than Man City's defence, yeah, I agree.
Kenneth here says, question for the panel. Is it me, or is Kai actually making this team slow and this formation not working, in my opinion? Don't you think the manager's stubbornness is going to lose him his job? What do you think? What do you, I want to go to D with this question, because D's more positive than the other two. So I want to throw it to him. What do you make of that? Do you think Kai Havertz is damaging Arsenal's team?
Right now, the way we're playing, I don't know what he offers right now. As a left-sided centre mid, I don't know what he offers, okay? I'm going to give him 10 games, okay? That's my amount of games I give a player a chance, because for this first 3 games, the only thing that he's been offering is duels 1, aerial duels, and like tackles. He's basically doing what a defensive midfielder is doing. In the final third, there's one chance where I think it was Saka whipped it in. And then he just stood there. Instead of running he stood on the penalty box. Instead of running forward and the easy tapping, Eddie would have scored that. He just stood there as like, oh, I'm not attacking midfield. I'm not a goal scorer. My job is just to go here, just to go there, just to do like, bits and bobs. The guy needs to start picking up, because when Fabio Vieira came on in the second half, the first 10 minutes, like after the first 10 minutes when he came on, he looked so good. I'm thinking, why can't Havertz do that? The guy came for £65 million. He's obviously technically very good, but there's something about him. He's very lackluster. He's very relaxed. He hasn't got that urgency about him. So he needs to fix up, man. He needs to... I don't know what it is with him. I'm going to give him 10 games. And then if he's not proven in 10 games, I think we just scrap it and then get rid of him in January.
We was better off with Granit Xhaka. Let me just put that out there now. Because at least Granit Xhaka, when he had opportunities, was clinical. This Kai Havertz guy, right? Let alone the £65 million, right? He's come in with a big reputation, right? Big reputation. He's played number 9 for Chelsea all season. So you would think that this guy knows where the back of the net is. How many opportunities has he had in these 3 games, and he has fluffed his lines? It's not
okay. No. But okay, that's fine. Are we calling Martinelli out then? Are we going to call Saka out? Are we going to talk about Odegaard?
You know me, mate. I'm not afraid.
No. This is the problem, right? People, look, I'm not saying Havertz has had a good game, but my issue is, why is he being the one pinpoint of chances? I mean, Martinelli had 10 times the chances today, and the man fluffed them all. The problem.
No, but what we're saying is, what has he offered in the past 3 games? Past 3 games, what has he really offered?
What's Martinelli offered in the last 3 games? What's Saka offered in the last 3 games? What have most of these players offered in? We have been lackluster as a team. The problem is when we start pinpointing and scapegoating players, my thing is when Zinchenko and Jesus come into this team, you'll start to see why Havertz is bought. Right now, Havertz is making the right runs. No one's picking him out. There's multiple compilations of him getting into the right places and not being picked out. What do you want him to do? He is picking up those opportunities, and the creative players in this team have not picked him out.
Yeah,
when they do, yes, he should be clinical.
Exactly.
But the reality is no one's picking him out.
The point is, Sauls, is he has been picked out on numerous of occasions throughout these 3 games. Yes,
like
not as many
times
as what he should be being picked out with his runs, as what you're saying. But he has been picked out on numerous occasions, and he has fluffed his lines on numerous of occasions. Granit Xhaka wasn't really a player who got picked out all the time, but when he did get picked out, he was clinical. And for £65 million, you expect better.
But he's not had that many chances to convert, though.
He had one real good chance today that he should be converting. Yeah?
Yes, all right. Are we in an agreement, Havertz and Martinelli should be dropped then? Both should
100%. 100%.
Right, okay. That's fine.
Yeah?
As long as we're keeping the arguments consistent. If we're calling Martinelli out,
fine.
then I can hear it.
What
What I hate is when it's single players out, when other players have had more chances to bury this game. That's what I'm saying.
No,
a lot of people
are
getting onto which, by the way, it's not even the fact that people are getting onto Havertz. I'm fine with that. Get onto him. I think he deserves to be criticized a lot. Well, my issue is why are people quiet on Saka for having a shit game? Let's be real. I couldn't give a fuck he scored a penalty. That's whatever.
You know what?
Do you know why it is
though? As a neutral, do you know why it is though? Because when a player who has delivered consistently for you and been one of your best players for 2 or 3 years has a bad game, you're frustrated. But you're far less lenient. You're far more lenient with them than a player. Yes, Kai Havertz only played 4 games for Arsenal, but you've seen his body of work in the Premier League. That's the difference. At Man United, Rashford delivered massively last year. If he has a bad game, we criticize him, but we know he delivers. If it's a player like Antony who seldom delivered, he gets more stick. You know, Bruno invariably in his time at Man United has delivered. Rivals can't understand why does he get a pass when he has a bad game? Because most of the time he isn't that bad. So expecting Saka to be treated like Kai Havertz is never going to happen unless you do 3 years of consistent poor performances.
I'm not saying like we have to drop the player, but what I'm saying is have equal energy. Like, was Saka good today?
You can't have equal energy. You can't have equal energy. I used to say this to Man United fans. I used to say this to United fans when Pogba and McTominay were both poor. Why got more stick for Pogba, Terry? Because Pogba's the superior player. I've got much higher expectations for what Saka does compared to Havertz. However, Saka invariably plays well, so you're never going to get the same energy. If Saka starts doing this every week, eventually he'll get more stick than someone like Kai Havertz because you guys expect more of him. So I think that's key. I want to get to some more of these super chats here that have come in. This here from AA says neither Partey nor Rice should have been taken off. I was shocked when Rice came off. We lacked physicality, and unfortunately, that's why it finished 2-2. Yeah, I agree. Both should have stayed on the football pitch. Do you think this display is enough to revert to a back 4? Do you think the new formation is due to injury to Zinchenko and Jesus? Do you agree with that, Souls? You think it's because of injuries?
100%. We know that because we've got no one else who can invert from the left-hand side. As much as people want to disagree, that is Arteta's way of playing. It's the same way some managers have non-negotiables to their system, and that's one of them. One of your defenders has to come into midfield, and that's what he's doing. He knows that Partey from right back, he did play for Atletico Madrid at right back. That's going to happen. And by the way, today's mistake isn't just because he inverted from the right or it's this formation. This whole system has caused this. To Bournemouth last season, Zinchenko inverting, goal conceded early. Fulham, I think it was, they missed, thankfully, but they had the same situation last season where they could have scored early. So it's not a today problem. This problem has been there, but it's happened on the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side. The only problem we have is we need to find a solution early in games to not get exposed. We need to get player intelligence to understand when they need to invert and when they need to stay out wide. And once that is sorted, when Zinchenko comes back in and Gabriel starts playing, you're going to start to see a different system and we start to revert back to norms. Right now, it's making the squad work for what he has.
And this is why we won't win anything this season, as in the Premier League or the Champions League, because it is inevitable that playing more games this season, we will pick up injuries throughout the squad.
But so do you not want him to have a solution in place already?
Yeah, if this is the case, like you say, Sauls, right, and it's just Jesus being out and Zinchenko being out that is causing us to have to play this way, and it isn't working.
And
All it
Timbers.
takes is for them two to get injured again, and we
Timbers
are.
and Tomiyasu, by the way, as well. All three of them.
Yeah, but Tomiyasu don't really do the inverted thing either.
No, but it works with the system because he then becomes the left centre back. He's more naturally a left centre back.
I hear you boys with that. We're gonna come back to Arsenal a little bit later in the show.